A Tale of Forgotten Beauty. Hook. Imagine a world where the symphony of nature is drowned out by the gleam of artificial perfection. But what if that perfection comes at a cost? The loss of something real, something alive, something extraordinary. This is a story of a melody so pure and powerful that, though forgotten, it has the strength to awaken hearts and reshape destinies. Will you journey with us to uncover the truth behind this forgotten beauty? Step into a world where the delicate charm of simplicity is overshadowed by the blinding allure of the artificial. It's a place where authenticity struggles to find its voice amidst the glittering hum of perfection engineered by man. Here, beauty isn't cherished for its soul, but for its shine, leaving behind the quiet, natural wonders that once brought true joy. This is the stage for a tale of rediscovery, where a single, unassuming melody dares to challenge the dazzling but hollow creations of a world that has forgotten what it means to truly feel. Have you ever wondered why the simplest, most beautiful things often slip through our fingers, unnoticed? In a world constantly chasing the next big thing, the real treasures, the melodies of nature, the warmth of authenticity, and the unspoken magic of the ordinary fade into the background. But what happens when these forgotten wonders find their way back into our lives? Do we embrace them, or are we too blinded by the artificial to recognize their worth? This story holds a question as old as time itself. Can we ever truly reclaim the beauty we've forsaken? Or does its return come with a price we may not be ready to pay? Stay with us as we unravel the mystery of a melody long silenced, waiting to awaken a world that's forgotten how to listen. At the heart of this timeless tale is an unassuming creature, small, plain, and seemingly ordinary, a humble nightingale. To look at it, one might not see anything remarkable, no dazzling feathers or regal presence that would set it apart in a world captivated by outward splendor. Yet, within this modest bird lies a gift so rare, so profoundly beautiful, that it has the power to move even the most hardened souls. The nightingale's song is no ordinary melody. It is the voice of the forest, a living symphony that transcends language and logic. Each note carries the essence of untouched nature, the whispers of ancient trees, the gentle rustle of leaves kissed by the wind, and the soft murmurs of streams that have flowed for centuries. It is a song that binds time and space, reminding all who hear it of a forgotten truth. Beauty lies not in the glittering surface, but in the quiet depth of authenticity. The nightingale sings not for fame or recognition, but simply because it must. Its melody flows from a place of pure joy, an unyielding connection to the world it inhabits. In a palace filled with unimaginable wealth, glistening jewels, golden artifacts, and treasures sought from the farthest corners of the earth, this unpretentious bird offers something no riches can buy. When its voice fills the air, it doesn't merely entertain, it transforms. Listeners are transported to a realm where their worries melt away, their spirits are lifted, and their hearts awaken to emotions they had long buried. The nightingale's song heals the broken, inspires the weary, and reminds even the proudest of men that there is a beauty beyond the material, a beauty that cannot be manufactured or controlled. And yet, in a world infatuated with the dazzling and the perfect, such a miracle is often overlooked. How could something so simple compete with the glittering marvels crafted by human hands? How could an unadorned bird hold its ground against the splendor of artificial perfection? This tale reveals the consequences of such blindness, of forsaking the genuine for the counterfeit, of trading a living, breathing miracle for a soulless replica. The nightingale's story is more than a fable. It is a mirror reflecting the choices we make every day. Will we cherish what is real, or will we lose it, only to realize its value when it is too late. This is the question at the heart of the Nightingale's song, a melody that, though forgotten, carries the power to awaken an entire world to the truth of what it means to truly live. The emperor was a man of great power, ruling over a vast and opulent kingdom where everything seemed meticulously crafted to perfection. His palace was a grand testament to human ambition, adorned with riches beyond imagination, gleaming jewels, towering statues, and endless rows of gold. Yet, despite all this wealth and grandeur, there was a hollow emptiness that seemed to weigh on his heart. No matter how much he acquired, no matter how many treasures were bestowed upon him, none of it could fill the void that had taken root deep within him. His days were spent in a cycle of endless admiration from courtiers who praised him, while he, in return, sought ever more perfection, searching for something he couldn't quite name but knew he had lost long ago. It was in this world of cold, artificial beauty that the Nightingale's song first reached him. The bird, unassuming and modest, carried no grand feathers or shining trinkets. Yet its voice, so pure, so untouched by the taint of human ambition, floated through the palace with an ethereal grace. The emperor, who had long forgotten the simple joys of life, found himself drawn to the melody like a moth to a flame. The song was not loud, nor did it demand attention. It was subtle, quiet, yet undeniably powerful. With each note, something deep within the emperor stirred, as if the bird's voice was peeling away the layers of his heart, revealing emotions he hadn't felt in years: peace, longing, and a sense of connection to something greater than himself. In those moments, as he listened, the emperor began to feel a calm he hadn't known existed. The melody of the nightingale wasn't just a distraction from his endless quest for perfection. It was a reminder of what he had forsaken in his pursuit of grandeur. The grandeur of his empire had become nothing more than an illusion, a facade built to mask the emptiness that filled his soul. The nightingale's song, in contrast, was a living expression of authenticity, of something real and untouched by the obsessions of human desire. It spoke to the quiet parts of his heart that had long been ignored, awakening a yearning for simplicity, for purity, and for a beauty that didn't rely on the trappings of power and wealth. As the days went by, the emperor became increasingly captivated by the nightingale. He would spend hours listening to its song, each note resonating deeper and deeper within him. Moments of solitude, he felt as though he was hearing the very heartbeat of the world, soft, unrelenting, and in perfect harmony. The bird wasn't there to awe him with grandeur or seduce him with false promises of perfection. It simply sang, and in doing so, it reminded the emperor of what he had lost: the connection to nature, the authenticity of life, and the beauty that could never be replicated by man-made creations. For the first time in his life, the emperor realized that he had been chasing shadows, searching for a perfection that could never exist, while ignoring the simple, undeniable truths that had been with him all along. Yet, as his fascination with the nightingale grew, so did his confusion. How could something so humble, so ordinary, possess such power? How could a creature so seemingly insignificant have a voice capable of reaching the deepest recesses of his soul, while the empire he had built, with all its gold and grandeur, had done nothing to fill that void? The more he listened, the more questions arose within him. Questions about why he had spent his life seeking perfection in the wrong places. Questions about why he had sacrificed authenticity for illusion. And, perhaps most troubling of all, the question of what would happen if he were to lose the nightingale and its song, a thought that haunted him more with each passing day. The emperor became increasingly desperate to hold on to the bird, to preserve the purity of its song. He began to believe that the nightingale, with its simple beauty, was the only thing that could restore the lost peace within him. And yet, in his attempts to grasp onto this newfound treasure, he unwittingly began to transform it. In his pursuit of control, he forced the bird into a cage, hoping to keep its song alive at all costs. But in doing so, he slowly stripped away the very essence of what made the nightingale's melody so powerful: the freedom, the authenticity, the unrestrained beauty that had captivated him in the first place. In his desperation to hold on to what he had rediscovered, the emperor had fallen into the same trap he had always known: the belief that beauty must be tamed, controlled, and polished to perfection. Yet the nightingale's true beauty lay in its simplicity and its freedom. And as he clung tighter to his vision of the bird, he began to realize that he was losing not only the nightingale itself, but also the very peace and authenticity that had drawn him to it in the first place. This was the beginning of the emperor's fall. The nightingale, once a symbol of everything he had longed for, became a reminder of what he had lost. And though he had once been captivated by its song, he now found himself yearning for something even greater: a world where beauty wasn't chained to illusions of perfection, but was free to sing its true song, untouched by the burdens of control and ambition. At the heart of the emperor's world lay a stark contrast: the beauty of authenticity versus the allure of artificial perfection. The nightingale, humble and unassuming, represented a purity that could never be imitated. Its song wasn't about grandeur or dominance. It wasn't crafted or polished to appeal to the senses. It was simple, natural, and woven into the very fabric of life itself. The nightingale's beauty lay in its authenticity, its unblemished connection to nature, its ability to awaken emotions that no amount of wealth could replace. It was a beauty that didn't rely on outward appearances or grandeur. Instead, it resonated from within, touching the deepest recesses of the heart with its truth. In stark contrast stood the emperor's world of artificial perfection. His palace was a testament to the facade of grandeur. Its golden walls, shimmering jewels, and meticulously designed spaces were all crafted to impress the eye, to create an illusion of beauty that could be admired from afar. But beneath this dazzling exterior lay emptiness. The emperor had spent his life accumulating these treasures, yet none of them had been able to fill the void within him. The pursuit of perfection, of things that sparkled and gleamed, had left him hollow and disconnected from the very essence of what made life beautiful. The nightingale's song, however, offered something far greater than any artificial creation ever could. It wasn't about appearance, it was about truth. The nightingale didn't sing for admiration or applause. Its melody wasn't confined by the rules of human desire or the relentless chase for more. It was free, untethered, and pure. With every note, it reminded the emperor that true beauty isn't found in what glitters, but in what resonates. The quiet truths of life, the emotions that stir within us when we are truly connected to the world around us. As the emperor listened, he began to understand the futility of his obsession with perfection. No matter how grand his empire became, it could never replicate the simple, authentic beauty that the nightingale embodied. The artificial splendor of his palace, with its riches and towering statues, was hollow, lifeless compared to the living, breathing melody of the nightingale. It was as though the bird's song could breathe life into a world that had long since become desolate, while his artificial realm had only grown colder and more detached. Yet, the emperor's fascination with the nightingale also became his greatest challenge. For as much as he desired to hold on to the bird and its song, his pursuit of control and perfection ultimately began to destroy what made the nightingale's beauty so extraordinary. His quest to preserve the nightingale through caging and containment turned its free and authentic song into something lifeless and controlled. And so, the very beauty that had once drawn him began to slip away, leaving behind only the echoes of what had once been. In this tale, the contrast between the nightingale's authenticity and the emperor's artificial perfection becomes more than just a story. It becomes a reflection of our own lives. How often do we chase after things that glitter, only to realize that what truly matters cannot be bought or controlled? The Nightingale reminds us that beauty lies in the simplicity, the real, and the genuine, not in the illusions we create to fill our own voids. As the emperor's fascination with the nightingale deepened, a new force began to emerge, one that seemed to promise the perfect solution to his longing for beauty and control. A mechanical bird, crafted with flawless precision, was brought before the emperor. It shimmered in the sunlight, its metal feathers gleaming like polished silver, and its voice, though artificial, echoed with a perfection that seemed unmatched. Unlike the humble, living nightingale, the mechanical bird was unchanging, always the same, without flaw, without variation. In its sleek exterior and mechanical precision, the emperor saw the embodiment of everything he had been searching for. Perfection without flaw, a beauty he could hold in his hand and command at will. Blinded by this illusion of perfection, the emperor made his choice. The nightingale, with its fragile beauty and imperfect song, was replaced by the mechanical bird. He believed that this new creation would fulfill his quest for ultimate control, a symbol of his power and mastery over nature. No longer would he be at the mercy of a creature whose song could fade or shift with the seasons. The mechanical bird was a constant, an image of stability and order. In his eyes, it seemed like the perfect solution to his long-held yearning for control. Yet, what the emperor failed to see was that this very quest for perfection would be his undoing. As the mechanical bird took the place of the real nightingale, something insidious began to creep into the emperor's world. The vibrant beauty of life, which had once thrived in the humble simplicity of the nightingale's song, began to wither. The once lush and harmonious palace grew quiet and still. The artificial perfection of the mechanical bird brought an eerie silence, one that no amount of grandeur could fill. The emperor's once thriving kingdom became a place of cold, mechanical beauty, devoid of the life and authenticity that had once made it alive. The mechanical bird's voice, while flawless, lacked the warmth and soul that had once enchanted the emperor. In its place, there was only an endless, lifeless echo, a reminder of the emperor's misplaced choice and his inability to see what truly mattered. In his quest for control, the emperor had replaced the real with the artificial, believing that perfection could be achieved by sheer will. Yet, what he lost in the process was far greater, an authentic connection to life itself. The mechanical bird could never replicate the real nightingale's song, nor could it fill the void that the emperor himself had created. His obsession with perfection had turned his world into something cold and hollow, leaving him to dwell in the silence of his own making. And so, the tale of the nightingale, once a story of rediscovery, became a tragic reminder of the dangers of forsaking what is real in favor of illusions of control and perfection. As time passed, the once pristine mechanical bird began to show signs of deterioration. Its flawless exterior began to chip, its once perfect song faltered, and its once glimmering feathers dulled and rusted. Despite the emperor's attempts to maintain control over it, the mechanical bird could not escape the ravages of time and wear. The emperor, who had once believed in its unyielding perfection, now found himself confronting the harsh reality of its fragility. The mechanical bird, which had promised him endless control and eternal beauty, had become nothing more than a broken, lifeless relic of his misguided choices. In his desperate attempt to hold on to the perfection he so craved, the emperor's own health began to deteriorate. The weight of his obsession drained him, leaving him pale and weary. His once proud and vibrant kingdom, now silent and lifeless, mirrored his own decline. The brilliance and grandeur of his reign had given way to a world of cold shadows and silence. No matter how much wealth or power he accumulated, none could restore the vitality and life that had once thrived in his palace. The emperor, consumed by his desire for control, had lost his connection to the very beauty and joy that had once filled his life. It wasn't until the emperor was on the brink of despair that he began to realize the true cost of his choices. The mechanical bird, with all its perfection, had stripped his world of the very things that made it beautiful: the authenticity, the warmth, and the connection to nature that the real Nightingale had once embodied. In his relentless pursuit of perfection, the emperor had created a void, one that no artificial creation could ever fill. The emptiness he now felt wasn't just physical, it was a loss of purpose, of meaning, and of the simple joys that once defined his reign. As he lay on his sickbed, surrounded by the remnants of his artificial kingdom, the emperor finally began to understand. It wasn't control or perfection that had brought him to this state. It was his inability to recognize the value of what was real. The Nightingale, with its imperfections and authenticity, had been a reminder of the true beauty that lies in simplicity, connection, and the natural rhythms of life. In his desperation, the emperor saw that what he had sought could never be achieved by force. It was the quiet, unassuming beauty, the one he had overlooked, that held the power to heal and restore. In this moment of realization, the emperor was struck not only by the loss of his kingdom, but by the loss of his own humanity. The mechanical bird had offered him an illusion of control, but in the end, it had only served to deepen his isolation. The true beauty, the beauty of the Nightingale, had never truly left him. It had only been forgotten. And so, with this newfound understanding, the emperor sought to mend what had been broken, not with artificial perfection, but with the warmth and authenticity of life itself. In his final moments of despair, the emperor, frail and consumed by regret, found himself haunted by the echoes of a long-forgotten melody. It wasn't the lifeless, mechanical chirping of the artificial bird, but something far more profound, a sound that seemed to stir something deep within him. Slowly, almost like a whisper from the past, the real Nightingale's song emerged from the shadows. Its voice, soft yet hauntingly beautiful, carried a depth and warmth that the mechanical bird had never possessed. It wasn't the perfect, sterile tune the emperor had once been drawn to. It was raw, unpolished, and full of life. The emperor, barely able to lift his head, listened as the Nightingale's song reverberated through the empty halls of his palace. It wasn't just a melody, it was a call to remember, a call to rediscover the beauty he had forsaken. The simple, natural notes carried a sense of longing, peace, and wonder that the artificial bird had tried and failed to replicate. The Nightingale wasn't perfect, but it was real, alive, breathing, and filled with the essence of life itself. As the song continued, something within the emperor stirred. The lifeless void that had consumed him began to crack, giving way to the reawakening of long-forgotten emotions. Joy, warmth, and hope returned, as though the Nightingale's melody had the power to breathe life into his weary heart. The artificial perfection that he had once chased faded into irrelevance, as the emperor realized that the beauty he had been seeking wasn't found in control or artificiality, but in the simple, authentic moments that the Nightingale represented. In that fleeting moment, the emperor understood that it wasn't perfection that brought true beauty. It was the connection to something real. The Nightingale, with its unrefined song and humble existence, had been the embodiment of all he had lost. And now, as its melody filled the air, the emperor saw the world with new eyes. The grandeur of his artificial kingdom gave way to the quiet majesty of nature's own simplicity. The nightingale wasn't a symbol of loss, but a beacon of rediscovery, the reminder that beauty, once forgotten, could be found again, if only one was brave enough to listen. As the emperor lay on his sickbed, the nightingale's song continued to echo through his hollow palace. In that haunting melody, he began to see what he had overlooked for so long, the value of authenticity and the irreplaceable beauty of nature. No longer blinded by the illusion of control or the desire for perfection, he understood that what truly nourishes the soul isn't artificial, flawless, or manufactured, but real, natural, and raw. The emperor came to realize that the mechanical bird, despite its perfection, could never replace the warmth, life, and soul of the real nightingale. The artificial had robbed him of his connection to the very world he once cherished. The mechanical bird, with its flawless beauty, had brought him emptiness, silence, and despair. It was only when the real nightingale returned that he saw the stark contrast. The beauty of life isn't about being polished or perfect, but about being genuine, flawed, and alive. The emperor's kingdom, once vibrant, had become a lifeless, hollow place because of his pursuit of something he could never truly possess. In his realization, he understood that no creation, no matter how advanced or perfect, could replicate the authenticity of nature. From this painful journey, the emperor learned that beauty, true beauty, comes not from control or perfection, but from accepting the imperfections of life. It is found in the simplicity of a melody sung by a real bird, not in the cold mechanical tones of something created inhumanly. The lesson was clear. Nature, with all its beauty and flaws, cannot be replaced. The emperor's regret became his wisdom, and in that wisdom he vowed never to forget the real beauty that once filled his life. He had learned that sometimes the most precious things in life are not the ones we seek to control, but the ones we allow to simply be. As the emperor reflected on his journey, it became clear to him that his tale was not unique. His struggle with the nightingale and the mechanical bird mirrored a universal truth: the tendency of humanity to overlook the beauty and authenticity of the natural world in favor of artificial perfection. In today's world, where we are constantly bombarded by images of perfection, status, and control, we often forget the simple, genuine joys that life has to offer. Just as the emperor sought control over nature, many of us find ourselves drawn to the manufactured, the polished, and the flawless, believing that these things will bring us happiness and fulfillment. We live in an age where technology, social media, and material wealth often define success. We crave the perfect life, the perfect image, and the perfect experience, all while sacrificing the richness of the imperfect and real. Like the emperor, we may pursue things that promise control and perfection, only to find ourselves lost in the emptiness that follows. The artificial, no matter how alluring, can never replicate the depth, warmth, and beauty of genuine human connection in nature. The emperor's story is a reminder that the more we chase after perfection, the more we may lose sight of what truly matters. The nightingale, with its humble and natural song, serves as a symbol of the beauty we often overlook. Those small, authentic moments that bring us joy and peace. In our pursuit of control, we may forget that life's greatest treasures are found not in the perfect or the manufactured, but in the imperfections that make our experiences truly rich. This broader reflection calls on us to pause and reconsider what we value. Are we willing to let go of the pursuit of perfection and embrace the beauty of what is real? The emperor's fall was his realization, and perhaps it is a lesson we can learn before we find ourselves lost in the void of artificiality. Let us remember that the Nightingale's song, though simple, has a melody that resonates far beyond the reach of any mechanical perfection. In the grand tapestry of life, it's often the simplest threads, the unnoticed moments, that hold the greatest treasures. The Emperor's story reminds us that we tend to overlook these precious gifts in our pursuit of perfection and control. It's easy to become so consumed by the chase for something bigger, shinier, or more ideal that we miss the quiet, profound beauty that's right in front of us. We take for granted the simple melodies of life, the gentle hum of nature, the warmth of a loved one's smile, or the comforting rhythm of our own hearts. These aren't perfect by any means, but they hold a depth and significance that artificial substitutes could never replicate. The Emperor's downfall was his failure to see this. In his search for control, he lost the very beauty he sought to preserve. Sometimes the greatest treasures are the simplest ones we overlook, those fleeting moments of authenticity, the imperfections that make life rich and meaningful. It's only when we let go of our need for perfection that we can truly begin to appreciate the beauty that has always been there, waiting to be discovered. As we reflect on the Emperor's journey, one question lingers. When was the last time you truly paused to listen to the real melodies in your life? In a world that often celebrates the artificial, the polished, and the perfect, it's easy to overlook the subtle beauty that exists all around us. How often do we sacrifice genuine experiences for the sake of fleeting perfection, only to discover that what we were chasing brings emptiness instead of fulfillment? The Nightingale's song reminds us that beauty isn't found in what we can control or perfect. It's found in what we allow to simply be. Blue, seeking perfection that fades as quickly as it arrives. The Emperor's fall was his inability to hear the Nightingale's song, to recognize the value of what was real. Let us not make the same mistake. Instead, let's pause, reflect, and embrace the beauty that exists in life's imperfections. True beauty isn't something we control, it's something we feel. Whether it's the simple rustling of leaves, the laughter of loved ones, or the gentle rhythm of our own hearts, these are the melodies that define life's true richness. So ask yourself, when was the last time you truly listened? When did you allow yourself to be present in a moment, free from the pursuit of perfection? It's time to rediscover the beauty that lies beneath the surface, because only in that authenticity can we find the peace and joy we truly seek. As we conclude this tale of forgotten beauty, I urge you to carry its lessons with you. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. What beauty might you be overlooking? In a world that often glorifies perfection, are you listening to the real melodies of life? The simple moments, the authentic experiences, and the genuine connections that make life truly rich. These are the treasures we often take for granted, just like the Emperor lost sight of the Nightingale's song. It's time to pause and remember that beauty isn't always about what's shiny, flawless, or perfect. Sometimes it's found in the quiet, the simple, and the overlooked. Whether it's the warmth of a sunset, the sound of laughter, or the embrace of loved ones, these are the things that bring life meaning and joy. Let's not let the pursuit of perfection blind us to the beauty that already exists in our lives. So, I invite you to reflect, to notice, and to embrace the authentic beauty in your own world. Share this story with someone who may need to hear it. Leave a comment below. What are the simple, beautiful moments in your life that you don't want to forget? Together, let's keep the spirit of rediscovery alive. Let's treasure the beauty that surrounds us and cherish the moments that make life truly worth living. As we conclude this tale of forgotten beauty, I urge you to carry its lessons with you. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. What beauty might you be overlooking? In a world that often glorifies perfection, are you listening to the real melodies of life? The simple moments, the authentic experiences, and the genuine connections that make life truly rich. These are the treasures we often take for granted, just like the emperor lost sight of the Nightingale's song. It's time to pause and remember that beauty isn't always about what's shiny, flawless, or perfect. Sometimes it's found in the quiet, the simple, and the overlooked. Whether it's the warmth of a sunset, the sound of laughter, or the embrace of loved ones, these are the things that bring life meaning and joy. Let's not let the pursuit of perfection blind us to the beauty that already exists in our lives. So, I invite you to reflect, to notice, and to embrace the authentic beauty in your own world. Share this story with someone who may need to hear it. Leave a comment below. What are the simple, beautiful moments in your life that you don't want to forget? Together, let's keep the spirit of rediscovery alive. Let's treasure the beauty that surrounds us and cherish the moments that make life truly worth living.